dog sire was on point. His mom was backing. But man, when we walked up and that 20 birds boiled out of there, I didn't eat sheep, man. I mean, it tore me up, but I thought, boy, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a puppy. I like any of them, all of them. If they want to be bird dogs, they give me something to work with because I want them to be bold. Pointing that should be natural. Everything after a natural point is in one form or another, some type of obedience that you put into the dog. It's all about keeping the dog's attitude. That's training the dog around birds, but off birds. The hands don't get enough credit. How you touch, how you read a dog and you touch them at the right time. I can't explain how to do that. Maybe people learn it. Maybe they're born with it. I don't know. I think a lot of it comes from experience. And if you're paying attention, you're learning what to do, but you're also learning, well, what not to do. You do something, think, well, I ain't ever doing that again.
Silence. In dog training, we often hear how important it is to speak less. But what if silence wasn't just a training technique, but a way of life? Mo Lindley didn't just practice quiet communication with dogs, he embodied it. For years, silence was his only option. As you see, Mo was deaf. But perhaps it was precisely this silence that allowed him to connect so deeply with every dog he trained, each understanding the other without ever needing words. Mo Lindley wasn't just a remarkable dog trainer. He was a quiet legend whose method spoke louder than words. He passed away recently, leaving behind a profound emptiness in the hearts of many trainers, handlers, and friends. I was fortunate enough to spend a day with Mo, witnessing firsthand his calm precision, his patience, and his effortless bond with every dog he touched. No rush, no confusion, just pure communication between man and dog. After our time in the field, Mo invited Lauren, Gwen, and me to join him under the pavilion in his yard for his midday coffee break. In true Mo fashion, we listened and watched as he sipped 4 piping hot cups of black coffee, undeterred by the sweltering South Carolina heat in June, soaking up every moment of wisdom he had to offer. It was here, in this simple yet profound setting, that much of the footage for this video was captured. Join us today as we honor Mo Lindley, the man who taught us the language of silence, and whose legacy continues to resonate far beyond the field.
Why did you change?
Because I was burnt out. I was tired of whipping dogs and being mean to dogs. And that's kind of why Bill West developed that way of training, which he didn't. He got ideas from his friend Harry Wong. They called him the Chinaman. He was a Chinese guy, but was real good with dogs. So Bill started watching him, and that's kind of what it spun off from. But back when I started out, it's been a long time ago, but dog training was rough. It was very physical. I didn't, but it was very common for people to, dust a dog with 8 or 9 shots, but it was rough. I mean, it's just kind of like what horse training used to be. I mean, it was rough. Now, people found better ways. It's more thinking. Instead of reacting in a mean way, well, he shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna beat the fire out of him. I mean, I don't even think like that anymore. I mean, when I when I quit the old way, I bought in 100% to those three trainers, especially Bill West. But I learned from all three of them. Bill West just had a way with dogs, horses, people. He had a gift. And the great thing about Bill is he was very humble, but he knew he had a gift. But he was willing to give that gift away. He would show you. He'd talk straight with you. He'd show you. He'd help you with dogs, guys, or you say, okay, I think I'm gonna do this with this dog. Maybe the dog was giving a trainer some kind of trouble. Bill would look at me and say, I don't think I'd do that. But if the person asked, well, what would you do? Then he would tell them and show them. He wasn't into abusing dogs. But it's more philosophy. You're going to be a teacher. You're going to, if I was having trouble with a dog, just before I'd lost all my hearing, I'd call him on the phone. And I'd tell him, I said, Bill, this dog's doing this or doing that. That's what I need to do. He said, you need to keep showing that dog what you want. That was his answer. He said, don't jump ship. He said, you got to believe in what you're doing. A lot of people now, they'll do things 2 or 3 times and they think, well, that ain't working. So they get on the internet and they look up something else, and this is what so-and-so's doing, and they start. That confuses a dog. You need to be consistent with a dog. Give whatever method you use, give it time, you know? There's a lot of good trainers out there. This way fit me. Like I say, I was burned out with the other stuff. It wasn't fun. But once I started this, it's a challenge at times, but it's fun, you know? A person really has to buy into the base and the foundation, I think. I mean, I had to forget everything I knew like 28 years ago when I met Dave Walker. I thought, this guy's crazy. He don't teach woe. He wasn't crazy. Then I met Bill West. Now, Bill West had a way of talking to you and explaining what he was doing that just made sense to me. So I had good experience with Dave Walker, Bill West, and later, after Bill West, I became friends with Bill Gibbon. And basically, it's the same foundation. Each man probably adds a little bit to it in some kind of way, but it's not a big variation. Okay, the philosophy stays the same. Okay, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
They develop dogs. That's what I do with puppies. I I don't try to get them broke at 5, 6 months old and stuff. There's other stuff they need to learn. I like the way when you talk to Martha, that's the same philosophy. You start walking puppies. Before long, you start getting them into good flying birds. Before long, they're pointing and hunting on their own. A lot of times, if you've got more than one that you're working, they just want to point the other one back. And you think, gosh, I'm a great dog trainer. No, you got good breeding when you're putting them in an environment where they can learn on their own. That's a whole lot better than dragging little puppies around on a check cord. That drives me nuts when I see, and I'm not going to say anything if I see it, but they'll put a bird out and they'll have that puppy on a little light check cord, leading it around, pulling it over, trying to get it on that bird. Before you know it, that bird gets up and it's right under the puppy and it scares the crap out of it. Well, you may have a problem. So I learned a lot of stuff, what not to do. And I introduce puppies to fresh killed birds when they're about probably 8 weeks old. I'll chunk a fresh dead quail in the puppy pen and just watch what happens. One of them might be a little bit scared, but there'll be 2 or 3 that will go for it, snatch it up, and start running. Well, before you know it, all of them are running, chasing. Even that one that was shy of it, it wants that bird because it sees it's not hurting. There's nothing to be afraid of. And sometimes they eat it, sometimes they don't. A lot of times mine eat it. It's okay. I don't keep doing that, but I want them to imprint on birds. I want it to be the best thing in the world. I don't want it to be something that they are apprehensive or fearful about. So I do puppy stuff that keeps me out of trouble with the dogs. When people may bring me a dog to evaluate, I'll ask them has it had any bird exposure. And if they tell me no, I say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'll get 3 or 4 homing pigeons and put in a bird bag. I say, come on, turn your dog loose. And if some of the dogs won't get out and hunt for a little bit, and then all of a sudden they're out there hunting. Well, I don't want them to find something, all that's new to the dog, so I don't want them to find something that might scare them. But when that dog, if he's coming this way, I'll toss and fly a bird away from that dog low. And if there's a bird dog in there by the second bird, they'll be wide open. Okay, I may do that 3 or 4 times before I expose them to a bird on the ground because I want them to be bold. I want them to want that bird. I want them chasing that bird. And once you develop the desire on birds, then you can introduce the shotgun or blank gun and then the shotgun. All that's good. And when the dog's mature enough, you start just walking the dog around and start getting it broke. Okay? It knows how to hunt. It sees to the gun. the check cord pinch collar goes on the dog, and the electric collar goes on the dog every time we go to work. I don't want anything to really vary while I'm training that dog. When it's trained like that, then you start taking things off. But no, I'll never take the electric collar off. But maybe I'll unsnap the check cord, but it's still got the pinch collar on. Or maybe I snap the check cord to the buckle collar and take the pinch collar off. So you start taking things away, training aids away. But by then, everything is pretty much converted to electronics, or you saw the older dog stop down there when I was working. Okay, I didn't say anything. I didn't even nudge it with the pinch collar, but I tapped it one time with the electric collar, momentary. I teach that a little bit different. I want momentary to mean you need to stop and stand still. It all works hand in hand with the pinch collar work. When I first start doing that, maybe if I work a dog on 10 stop and stands around an area, I may use a collar on it twice. I mean at the very beginning. But the dog has to understand the key from the pinch collar. And then you kind of extinguish that key to where it's the electric collar. But if I've got bird's eye, I'm not going to nick a dog to make him point. That's the dog's job. I want her to learn to point birds. I'm not helping her. When I was walking the older dog back up, I don't know if y'all saw it or not, there was 4 or 5 pigeons walking around up there. When I went out the gate, he pointed, birds were walking. He started rude and slow. Now, most people would have, whoa, or they would have. What I did was, when he got too close, 3 birds flew. As soon as they flew, I tapped him with the electric collar. And there was another one still walking around out further. So the birds corrected the dog. He got too close, he made him fly. But the other one was still sitting there or walking around. So I'll walk out and flush it, walk back, his tail still up. He's fine, but I don't use it to stop and make him point. Pointing should be natural. Everything what Bill West told me was everything after a natural point is in one form or another, some type of obedience that you put in the dog. But if you were around those guys, you wouldn't think, well, when's he gonna work on whoa, or when's he gonna do this? You work on all that every day when you get the dog out and you go to the field. Now, if it's a puppy, I'm just gonna let them run and have fun, but they learn to go with me. Not so much from me calling on them as it is from me changing directions. You know, if you got dogs that want to be with you, then I kind of like that pointer puppy I run. I mean, she's a bit wild, but if you watch her, she's hunting 100% of the time. She's not. She ain't wanting to go swimming. She's wanting to go find a bird. I don't call on these puppies. They don't know to come near yet, so if you get real vocal or start blowing the whistle, you're just teaching them how to ignore that. So because it doesn't mean anything to them. So we just kind of wait her out.
Speak to the difference of the check cord versus e-collar, kind of what Martha was saying on the podcast, how if you were to only have one tool left, it'd be the check cord over the e-collar. Why is that?
Because I can train a dog without the electric collar. It'll take a while with a big going dog, but most of I mean, pretty much anytime you see me work a dog, I've got a collar on it, right? A lot of times, it depends on if I'm at the very, very beginning of training. My training is not electric. It's that pinch collar and that check cord. You see how that setter when I didn't have her on a bird, but when I got her down in the cover, I stopped her. You see how she. Notice what I do with this check cord. Immediately when a dog points, I put slack in it. I'm standing there holding that dog on tight cord. What's teaching it? Well, if you'd let go of that cord, I could get that bird. I make them stand where they don't feel the pressure. When they chase, they feel a little bit of pressure. I set them back just a hair and pat them, get them calm. Go on to another bird. Also, on this next bird, if she goes, at the same time that pinch collar gets her, I'm gonna tap her with a load tube. I'll go ahead and start teaching them the collar out here. Come here. Stop and stand, but you don't use it every time. Your main tool is this rope and that, the pinch collar. Most people go to a collar way too quick. she hit that, I give her 6 foot when she hit that. As soon as she hit it, I was at the right angle. You see her butt spin around? Well, when she hit that, I tapped her with a low 2 on the collar. I want her to get used to the feel of the collar. But with those young dogs, you're not using it on them every time. You this and this in my hands or the main tool. The electric collar is just an extension. Come on. It's all about keeping the dog's attitude. That's training the dog around birds, but off birds. See, if you do all yard work, after a while, unless you're using toys or food as motivators, that dog, about third time, is like, oh boy, here he comes again. They don't really like it. What's in it for them? So, if you're training it in an environment where the dog actually thinks it has a chance to find birds, its attitude's going to stay better. And if maybe you're working just on change directions, getting dog to go with me, come to me, stand still beside me. And I think, okay, that dog did a good job, but you can tell he's a little bit down. So I got a bird out over here. So I'll go and I'll take that dog around that bird. I don't need most. If he points, great. If he don't, when he's 15 yards from it, I just press the remote button and I'll fly that bird. And I'll let that puppy chase. Okay. When he comes back, I put him up. So that became his reward for doing good work. Okay? You don't have to do that every time, but if you see a dog getting a little bit stale, training wise, you know, you learn to read their body language, their tail carriage, their ears, their eyes. You look at that dog and think, well, he's not really having, he's not enjoying this like he normally does. So you need to do something to reward that dog. Now, if it's a dog that you got pretty much brave, well, you take that dog out, it points the bird, you got to kill the bird for it. Okay? You rewarded the dog. I got off track, but the check cord and pinch collar or the foundation type tools, they're the tools you take from square one all the way to the end. Okay? Not saying I'm going to train with that all the time. I mean, when you get the dogs broke, but they're going to always, from the kennel to the truck, they're going to wear it. Okay? And you may stop them one time. It's just something that goes, it always goes with them. But when you free run them, they learn to handle. If they don't handle, I'll give them a little touch with the continuous. If they look at me, I'll go that way. That dog ought to come and go that way with me. But it all starts, every key starts 12 foot away from you on that 12 or 15 foot check cord. And if they won't do it there, close to you, they're not going to do it way out there. So you're always training. You never really get done training. You know, you have to keep things fresh with the dog. If you don't, they'll start to regret. But most of it's in your attitude towards the dog. You know, I still think the hands don't get enough credit. How you touch, how you read a dog, and you touch them at the right time. That's I don't know. I don't know if you learn that or if it's just something that clicks with some people, but I think the hands are important. I see somebody just standing around, not really doing anything with the dog, but standing there. They're kind of pretty much at ease. The dog might be on a 6, 8 foot lead, whatever. You just look. The dog's standing there on that slack lead. He's not intimidated or nothing. The person's not even paying that dog any attention, but they're communicating. And I don't know if you can explain how to do that with an animal. Almost anybody can learn the mechanics of the method, any of the methods, but you almost have to feel something while you're working that dog. It's not just A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 approach steps. You have to adjust on the fly, and I can't explain how to do that. It's just something. Maybe people learn it. Maybe they're born with it. I don't know. It's just I think a lot of it comes from experience. And if you're paying attention, you're learning what to do, but you're also learning, well, what not to do. You do something, think, well, I ain't ever doing that again. I've had some of those moments. She's probably seen some of them.
So, in theory, you could replace the check cord with the e-collar. I'm sure some people have tried that. What's your thoughts in terms of that? Why is the pinch collar a better way to introduce the method than just going to the e-collar if you're proficient enough with it?
Well, some people can probably do it and do a good job doing that. The average person doesn't understand what that electricity even feels like. Now, you can train a dog avoidance type stuff like chasing deer or just like a bark collar, get them, not to bark or whatever, but to me, let's see if this makes sense. Okay. I set up training situation. I always have a plan. How I'm going to work. Now, sometimes everything goes right, but I don't look at the check cord and even the pinch collar as a way to correct the dog only. I look at it as a way to maximize what I'm trying to teach the dog by being able to guide the dog into the right situation. Okay, the best scenario is, okay, let's say the wind direction's coming this way. If you just, and you've got birds out, if you just turn a dog, a pup loose, or one you're just starting to train, and you're handling around with an electric collar, more than likely, the dog's going to get on the wrong side of the bird, and he's not going to mean to, but he bumps the bird and it's gone. Why not have it where you using your check cord and pinch collar as a way to guide the dog into the situation? So, wind's coming this way. I don't go directly to the bird. I'll go over here, I'll work around maybe on some stop and stand, and I'll kind of mosey back over where I know I've got a bird, and wind's come this way. You need to take that dog and kind of cross wind to where it can't smell the birds from a long distance, say 15 yards. You go crosswind, what'll happen is that dog, also, he's going this way, and that wind, he'll snap into a point. Just from the scent. You see how that pointer puppy hammered those birds? I mean, she barely knows how to walk on a check cord, but setting her up, different things like that, using the check cord as a guide, like I walked her so far and I turned her loose because I knew she would run down that edge. And the way the wind was coming, when she would run by, she spun around and pointed. When I get her going in the right direction, I'm gonna drop the rope. I want to point it on her own. So, to me, the check cord is a way to guide and keep the dog under control without overwhelming the dog. You watch somebody, then they probably won't be a real experienced trainer, but if they're trying to train with all electric collar, maybe things start out working pretty good, and then all of a sudden, that dog decides, well, I'm not going to do this today, and starts acting up. Watch what happens. They start mashing that button. Then they start changing the levels. And then they scare the dog. They ain't taught it nothing. Okay? All they did was the dog thinks some way out there got it, you know. And usually they're hollering the whole time. But I've seen dogs. They hit them with a collar, dog run back, get up under the truck. That's done for the day. So, to me, the check cord is just a way to guide the dog. Do the same thing on when I'm working on biking. To me, it's all about making association. Okay? I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how, like, if you're hunting with somebody or you're training with somebody, one dog's on point, the other dog's hunting around, they'll start calling on the dog to get it in, and they will not even give the dog a chance to see the dog on point before they woo it. See? So what? How does the dog make association? I use birds for association. If I work on a silhouette, and when I come around, I have no expectations from the dog. If it bites, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. But I watch the dog's head, and as soon as it looks at that silhouette or a live dog, I show it a bird. Okay, you see how that. But if you stop them, you'll teach them to blink it. They'll get, well, I don't like that. He's gonna get on my butt again. Or they'll stop it with a collar, or whoa it, or whatever. I like to make association with the bird, and ultimately, anytime a bird flies, that dog should stop. So once you got the dog far enough along, it comes around. Say it starts roding, just kind of wanting the back, but it starts roding, boom, put the bird up, stop the dog. Okay? The bird is what's stopping the dog. Any of this making sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell us about your first bird dog.
A bird hunted with that dog's mother and father. A neighbor owned it. And after one time going wild bird hunting, not far from here, I thought, boy, I got to have me one of them. I mean, we're hunting 3 dogs. That dog sire was on point. His name was Dan. His mom was back, and her name was Jenny. And the other one's name was Passion. But man, when we walked up and that 20 birds boiled out of there, I didn't even shoot, man. I mean, it tore me up, but I thought, boy, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to want me a puppy. So that next summer, he had a litter out of his 2 dogs. And I went over and looked at him, and I told him, I said, I want to buy that puppy right there. How much is it? He said, $6. I said, okay. I didn't have no money, so I went and mowed grass, raked leaves, cleaned gutters, whatever. Well, I got my $6. I went back on my bicycle and got that dog. That dog lived to be 17 or 18. Hoss. 17, 18 years old. That's what started. That dog that's Commander's big book. Won field trials with him.
Why pointers?
Why pointers? Well, they're kind of the Ferraris of the bird dog world. That's just my opinion. I fell in love with that breed. I like any of them if they're good, if they're bird dogs, because they got the right stuff. I work a variety of breeds. People ask me, so which one? What do you like? I'm like, I like all of them. If they want to be bird dogs, they give me something to work with. Fetch. Yeah. Fetch. Good. Yep. These dogs, you watch them close on this, they'll start thinking. So you need to be careful when you use the collar on them. Fetch. Yeah. Fetch. Good. Yeah. Fetch. Good boy. Yeah. Okay. He's had about enough. That's second session today. Yeah. No command on that one. I just wanted to see what he would do. Okay? See, the training's it's working. He gonna mess up. What? Yeah. I could tell he was gonna mess up. By the way, he grasped it. He was lazy. He's had enough. When he dropped it, as soon as it left its mouth, I nicked him another time, and he took hold of it. So we're gonna stop there.
What about wild birds growing up with these dogs and learning how to train down here in South Carolina? Obviously, a tradition of Bob White's. I mean, did he chase rough grouse, or was it just Bob White's? Talk to me about where the birds fall into the equation.
Well, back then, anything was fair game. Oh, pretty much. As far as bird hunting, it was just back then. It was quail and dove hunting. That was it. I mean, we didn't venture out of the area, but me and my brother hunted. We hunted squirrels, rabbits, whatever, you know. But after seeing that first point back on a wild coveted bird, that ruined me. I'm done. I'm like, that's it. She's the same way. Same way. When we first met, she was talking about field trials and hunt tests. I told her I should go wild bird hunt. I did. I told her. I said, I would give you chasing ribbons. I said, I will buy you flocks of blue ribbons. And just, I'd take that dog hunt. It's my dog holiday gunner, man. That's a real pistol. They're cheaper than buying blank gun. And it's American made. Yeah, dogs keep a good attitude if you're working them where you work birds and do your other training. The attitude shows better. this is where I learn to pay attention. Hey. Here. I've got two verbal commands. Here means come all the way to me. Hey means change direction. What? Hey. So he's paying attention to my body language. Good boy. All right, let's go.